Hello, lone wolves. In a world obsessed with volume and visibility, where influence is often measured by decibels and social media metrics, exists a counterintuitive phenomenon of power, the Sigma male. This enigmatic archetype defies conventional hierarchies, demonstrating that true authority stems not from clamorous demands, but from an unshakable inner sovereignty that quietly reshapes social dynamics through mere presence. Unlike the performative dominance of alpha males or the accommodating nature of beta males, the Sigma male operates on an entirely different psychological frequency, one that bypasses traditional power structures and rewrites the rules of social influence. His strength lies not in what he projects outwardly, but in what he withholds: approval-seeking, status anxiety, and the desperate need for validation that governs most human behavior. This exhaustive examination delves into 12 distinct psychological mechanisms through which Sigma males unconsciously establish dominance, disrupt social expectations, and command respect without conventional displays of power. Each facet reveals how these solitary strategists leverage their unique mindset to create an aura of quiet intimidation that unsettles, attracts, and ultimately transforms every social environment they enter. 1. The threat of absolute freedom. Societal conditioning versus Sigma autonomy. Modern society operates through an intricate system of unseen constraints, shaping individuals to conform through education, career expectations, consumer culture, and unspoken social norms. The average person moves through these structures unknowingly, mistaking these constraints for natural progressions in life. Many accept these invisible boundaries as necessary, believing that status, relationships, and social approval determine success. In contrast, the Sigma male exists outside this paradigm. His independence is not a performative act of rebellion. It is his natural state. Unlike those who actively resist authority or seek validation through counterculture movements, he simply does not acknowledge the importance of societal markers that most pursue. He does not seek promotions for status, does not require relationships for validation, and thrives in solitude rather than fearing it. The psychological impact on others. Encountering such profound autonomy creates discomfort in others for several reasons. Cognitive dissonance emerges. People conditioned to seek external validation struggle to comprehend someone who genuinely does not. They are forced to question whether their own life choices are based on authentic desires or societal programming. Existential anxiety surfaces. The Sigma's detachment highlights how most people willingly serve hierarchical systems, investing in titles, recognition, and approval that he disregards. This realization can be deeply unsettling. Projection mechanisms activate. Because they cannot rationalize his behavior within their worldview, they label him arrogant, antisocial, or even sociopathic to justify their discomfort. The freedom matrix. Here are some key differences between conventional male and Sigma male traits. Conventional male trait. Seeks promotion for status Sigma male. Views titles as meaningless. Conventional male trait. Needs relationship validation Sigma male. Enjoys but does not require partnership. Conventional male trait. Fears social isolation Sigma male. Thrives in solitude. Conventional male trait. Measures worth externally Sigma male. Self-validates completely. By simply living unaffected by external pressures, the Sigma male presents a silent yet profound challenge to societal control. His existence proves that the cage door was never locked, a truth most people find too uncomfortable to accept. 2. The mirror of unoriginality. The social script most follow. Human interactions are largely built on predictable, scripted exchanges that reinforce social bonds through repetition. These include scripted small talk, routine pleasantries like "how's work," recycled opinions, regurgitated political or media talking points without critical thought, performative interests, feigning enthusiasm for sports, TV shows, or gossip to fit in, tribal signaling, using brands, music, or hobbies as identity markers rather than personal enjoyment. Such behaviors provide comfort through predictability, allowing people to engage socially without revealing their true selves. Conversations remain superficial, avoiding anything that might disrupt the flow of conformity. Sigma's conversation disruption. The Sigma male instinctively rejects these rehearsed exchanges, disrupting the standard flow of social interaction. By refusing to engage in meaningless chatter, he exposes the emptiness. His silence makes others realize how hollow and repetitive their conversations are, creates authenticity pressure. People feel compelled to say something genuine rather than defaulting to social scripts. Reveals social dependence. Many realize they rely on scripted interactions to function socially. Psychological fallout for others. The Sigma does not deliberately provoke this reaction. It is simply a byproduct of his presence. However, this dynamic often results in intellectual self-consciousness. People become aware of their own lack of originality in conversation. Social anxiety. They fear being perceived as boring or uninteresting. Defensive hostility. Rather than confronting their own discomfort, they may direct anger or resentment toward the Sigma for making them feel inadequate. To the Sigma, silence is comfortable. To others, it is a loud reminder of their own inability to engage in meaningful discourse. 3. The magnetism paradox. Traditional attraction models. In most social interactions, bonding follows predictable transactional patterns based on reciprocity and mutual reinforcement. These include the reciprocity principle: I compliment you, you compliment me. Attention bartering: I listen to your stories, you listen to mine. Validation exchange: we mutually reinforce each other's self-worth. These social exchanges create a sense of comfort and connection, but they are conditional and predictable. They form the basis of most human relationships, from casual friendships to romantic engagements. Sigma's disruptive allure. The Sigma male breaks these reward loops by refusing to engage in them. His detachment from validation-seeking behavior makes his presence feel unpredictable and, paradoxically, more compelling. This disruption happens in several ways. Denial of expected validation. When he does not respond to social cues in the expected way, others feel intrigued or challenged. Scarcity effect. His limited attention increases its perceived value, making any interaction seem significant. Triggers chase instincts. Humans are wired to want what seems unavailable. The Sigma's indifference fuels curiosity and attraction. The neuroscience of unavailability. Scientific research on reward anticipation explains why the Sigma male's detached demeanor makes him unexpectedly magnetic. The brain produces more dopamine when rewards are unpredictable rather than consistent. Intermittent reinforcement, where attention is given sporadically rather than predictably, creates psychological addiction in those seeking it. Uncertainty fuels obsession, making people think about it more than they would a typical social participant. In short, the Sigma male attracts people not by trying, but by accident. His very nature triggers deep psychological reward systems, making him an enigma that others can't help but gravitate toward. Conventional leverage points. Societal control mechanisms are built upon predictable human fears, the underlying anxieties that keep individuals compliant and easily manipulated. These fears include financial insecurity. The fear of losing income or job stability forces people to tolerate poor working conditions or unfulfilling careers. Reputation damage. The concern over how one is perceived keeps individuals from expressing unpopular opinions or challenging the status quo. Relationship loss. The dread of isolation makes people stay in unfulfilling relationships, friendships, or social circles. Status diminishment. Fear of falling in societal ranks encourages conformity, leading people to chase promotions, luxury goods, or social validation. These leverage points function as invisible chains, subtly pressuring individuals to act in ways that serve societal structures rather than their own personal fulfillment. Sigma's immunity. The Sigma male, by deliberate design, renders himself immune to these conventional fears. He does this by minimizing dependencies. He avoids unnecessary financial burdens, owns only what he needs, and cultivates flexible work arrangements that grant him autonomy. Embracing impermanence. Instead of clinging to stability, he accepts that everything is temporary. Jobs, relationships, and societal roles are merely transient experiences. Cultivating self-sufficiency. By developing a broad skill set, he ensures that no single entity, whether an employer, institution, or relationship, holds power over his survival. Strategic implications. This mindset grants a Sigma male unparalleled freedom and power, manifesting in several key ways. Negotiation invincibility. Because he cannot be threatened with financial loss, status damage, or social rejection, he negotiates from a position of absolute leverage. Decision clarity. His choices are never clouded by attachment fears, allowing him to act decisively without hesitation or compromise. Social freedom. Unlike those who tolerate toxic environments for the sake of stability, the Sigma simply walks away, knowing he loses nothing in doing so. The psychological impact of encountering someone who cannot be controlled through normal means is profound. People instinctively recognize that the Sigma is beyond manipulation, making him both fascinating and unsettling to those accustomed to playing power games. 5. The power blindness. Hierarchical hypnosis. Most humans are neurologically wired to automatically register and defer to perceived authority. This subconscious programming manifests in several ways. Deference to status symbols. People instinctively treat those with high status markers, expensive clothing, prestigious job titles, luxury possessions, with greater respect and obedience. Behavioral modification around authority. The presence of someone in a perceived position of power often influences speech, posture, and overall demeanor, causing people to act submissively without conscious awareness. Tribal compliance. The evolutionary instinct to follow leaders once ensured survival in early human societies, but in modern times, it often leads to blind obedience to hierarchy. This deep-seated social conditioning explains why many people accept power structures without question, never considering whether the authority they recognize is actually legitimate. Sigma's perception shift. Unlike the majority, the Sigma male does not instinctively submit to power displays. Through deliberate psychological conditioning, he rewires a perception of authority by deconstructing authority. He understands that power is largely an illusion, a construct that only exists because people collectively agree to it. Practicing equanimity. He treats CEOs, janitors, celebrities, and unknown strangers with the same level of engagement, refusing to alter his behavior based on social rank. Focusing on substance over status. Instead of being impressed by wealth or titles, he judges people based on their competence, integrity, and character. Impact on power figures. When traditional dominance tactics fail to work on the Sigma, power figures experience confusion. Accustomed to automatic respect, they struggle to understand why their usual signals of authority carry no weight. Frustration. They feel invisible or ineffective, as the Sigma's lack of reaction makes them question their own influence. Self-doubt. Over time, encountering someone who rejects their power dynamic forces them to wonder if their status is as meaningful as they once believed. This is why authority figures often dislike or feel threatened by Sigmas. They are a living contradiction to the legitimacy of hierarchical power, exposing it as nothing more than an agreed-upon illusion. 6. The status illusion expose. Social climbing mythology. In mainstream society, people chase status through predictable behaviors, believing that these actions will grant them greater value and respect. These behaviors include conspicuous consumption, flaunting expensive items, cars, watches, designer brands, to signal wealth and social rank. Name dropping, associating with influential people to project importance. Credential accumulation, collecting degrees, titles, and awards to create the perception of expertise or authority. Network building, prioritizing social connections not for genuine relationships, but for perceived career or status advantages. These tactics form a foundation of tribal signaling, a way for individuals to prove their value within social hierarchies. Sigma's value system. Unlike status-driven individuals, the Sigma male measures work differently, using internal rather than external metrics. Competence. Genuine skills, knowledge, and capability rather than symbolic titles or affiliations. Autonomy. Freedom of thought and action rather than dependence on group approval. Integrity. A strong alignment between personal values and behavior, even when it contradicts social expectations. Resilience. The ability to withstand adversity without compromising one's identity. Because he operates outside of status-driven frameworks, the Sigma remains immune to social pressure and is uninterested in climbing hierarchies. Cognitive dissonance creation. When status-obsessed individuals encounter the Sigma's total indifference toward conventional status markers, they experience a gradual breakdown of their social conditioning. Initial dismissal. At first, they assume the Sigma is jealous or bitter, believing he rejects status because he cannot obtain it. Growing doubt. As they observe his genuine confidence and contentment, They begin questioning why he doesn't care about the things they value. Existential crisis. Eventually, they are forced to confront a terrifying question. Do these things actually matter at all? For those deeply invested in status games, this realization can be profoundly unsettling, as it threatens to invalidate decades of effort and belief systems. The Sigma does not set out to challenge society's illusions, but simply by existing outside them, he becomes a walking contradiction that forces others to rethink their reality. 7. The action bias. Social theater versus Sigma substance. In mainstream social interactions, much of what people do is performative rather than substantive. Individuals engage in symbolic gestures without follow-through, public declarations of intent that rarely translate into action, empty threats and promises, words spoken for effect rather than commitment, performative displays masking inaction, gestures meant to create the illusion of productivity or decisiveness without meaningful results. This cycle of surface-level engagement makes most interpersonal dynamics predictable and, in many cases, ineffective. Sigma behavioral signature. In stark contrast, the Sigma male operates differently. His behavioral patterns include silent execution. He acts without announcing his intentions, preferring results over rhetoric. Decision finality. Once he makes a choice, he follows through without hesitation or external validation. Consequence acceptance. He fully owns the result of his actions, whether success or failure, without excuses or complaints. This unwavering consistency makes the Sigma an outlier in a world where most people hesitate, bluff, or seek approval before acting. Psychological impact. Sigma behavior disrupts the social norm, causing others to react in distinct ways. Predictability disruption. Because his movements are not telegraphed, others struggle to anticipate his next steps. Credibility aura. His words carry immense weight because they are always backed by action. Social anxiety in others. Those accustomed to bluffing or relying on performative gestures become cautious around a Sigma, knowing that he won't play along. This makes a Sigma unerringly reliable, a rarity in a world of empty talk. 8. The reverse chase dynamic. Conventional attachment patterns. Most human relationships follow predictable attachment behaviors, including pursuer-distancer dynamics. One party chases while the other pulls away, creating a cycle of pursuit and withdrawal. Intermittent reinforcement cycles. People become emotionally hooked when attention is given inconsistently. Validation trading. Relationships often involve mutual ego stroking rather than genuine connection. These patterns make attachment more about psychological conditioning than actual compatibility. Sigma attachment model. The Sigma male disrupts these conventions by embodying complete outcome independence. He has no emotional investment in whether someone stays or leaves. Non-negotiable standards. He sets his criteria for engagement and does not compromise them for validation. Walk-away power. He immediately disengages when boundaries are violated without emotional hesitation. Neurological impact on others. This reversal of traditional attachment dynamics triggers powerful psychological effects. Dopamine chase circuits. Because Sigma attention is scarce and unpredictable, it becomes addictive. Cognitive dissonance. People struggle to understand why their usual tactics fail to elicit a response. Value inflation. His lack of neediness makes his presence feel more valuable, as scarcity increases perceived worth. In essence, Sigma males accidentally condition others to seek their approval, simply by remaining detached. 9. The conformity mirror. Standardized living. Most people's lives follow a rigid, predictable trajectory dictated by societal expectations. Education, career, retirement. A predefined path that prioritizes stability over fulfillment. Consumer lifestyle patterns. A cycle of working to earn money, then spending it on material goods for fleeting happiness. Social media performance personas. Carefully curated online identities designed to seek validation rather than express authenticity. These structures reduce individuality, keeping people within safe but uninspired boundaries. Sigma life design. The Sigma, in contrast, constructs a life entirely on his own terms. Personal efficiency. He eliminates unnecessary obligations and streamlines his lifestyle for maximum freedom. Authentic interest pursuit. He follows his genuine curiosity, not trends or societal expectations. Time sovereignty, more than money or status. He values control over his own time above all else. Existential implications. When others observe a Sigma's deliberately crafted lifestyle, they are forced to confront unsettling questions. Have I examined my own life choices? Are there alternative ways to live that I've never considered? Is the path I'm on actually fulfilling, or am I just following orders? The Sigma doesn't need to preach rebellion. His very existence challenges the status quo. 10. The villain immunity. Social control through reputation. Society enforces conformity through reputation management, ensuring that people remain compliant by exploiting. Fear of social ostracization. The anxiety of being disliked keeps people within social boundaries. Desire for positive perception. Many seek approval at the cost of authenticity. Anxiety about being canceled. In today's digital world, many fear being mischaracterized or judged unfairly. These forces pressure individuals into self-censorship and submission. Sigma's reputation independence. The Sigma male is immune to reputation-based control mechanisms because he internalizes self-worth. His value comes within, not from external approval. Accepts misunderstanding. He understands that people judge based on their own biases, and he refuses to chase false narratives. Embraces necessary conflict. He is willing to be disliked if it means maintaining his integrity. Power implications. By being indifferent to social approval, the Sigma gains negotiation leverage. He cannot be manipulated through social pressure. Decision freedom. His choices are never constrained by fear of public opinion. Psychological resilience. Gossip, criticism, or misrepresentation have no effect on his inner stability. In a world where reputation is a form of currency, being indifferent to it is the ultimate power move. 11. The control danger aura. Perceived threat spectrum. Humans assess threats based on 3 key factors. Physical capability. Is this person able to cause harm? Willingness to act. Would they actually follow through? Behavioral predictability. Can I anticipate their actions? When uncertainty surrounds these factors, people instinctively feel uneasy. Sigma's psychological signature. The Sigma male triggers deep-seated threat assessments through latent competence. He exudes capability without needing to prove it. Emotional control. He remains calm and collected in all situations. Strategic patience. He waits for the right moment rather than reacting impulsively. Neurobiological impact. This subtle but undeniable presence affects people at a primal level. Amygdala activation. The brain's fear center registers quiet confidence as a potential threat. Mirror neuron detection. Others sense his behavior does not align with typical social scripts. Dopamine engagement. Unpredictable people trigger fascination because their next move is unknown. This creates a paradoxical effect. The Sigma commands respect through quiet intensity alone. 12. The anti-likability effect. Approval-seeking norms. Most people succeed socially by engaging in agreeableness, prioritizing likability over authenticity, conformity, adopting group opinions to avoid standing out, conflict avoidance, steering clear of difficult conversations, ego stroking, offering flattery in exchange for social validation. These behaviors create shallow but socially acceptable relationships. Sigma's social model. Instead of playing this game, the Sigma speaks unfiltered truth, says what he means, regardless of how it's received, engages selectively, only participates when there is real value, maintains fixed standards, refuses to compromise boundaries for approval. Paradoxical outcomes. This approach leads to shallow dislike, initial friction due to his bluntness, deep respect, recognition of his unwavering integrity, selective attraction. He only connects with genuine, high-value individuals. Thus, his lack of need for social approval filters out low-quality connections effortlessly. Conclusion: the Sigma's unconscious revolution. The Sigma male represents something far more significant than a personality type. He embodies a living challenge to the invisible architectures of social control. Through his very existence, he demonstrates that freedom is an internal state, not dependent on circumstances. Power flows from detachment, not from desperate grasping. Influence stems from being, not from performance. Respect is earned through integrity, not through compliance. His quiet example poses the most dangerous question of all to those still trapped in systems of validation seeking. What if you stopped playing a game and discovered you were never really trapped, just hypnotized? This is the Sigma's true power. Not in what he does, but in what his existence permits others to imagine possible for themselves. In a world of performative struggle, his quiet sovereignty shines as both indictment and invitation. Do you resonate with the ideas I shared in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more content about Sigma males, explore the other videos on this channel. Thanks for watching.